Hi, this is Aaron Wilson. The Texans held their annual charity golf classic today, and they raised over $550,000 for their charitable foundation, and it's part of the more than $50 million that they've raised since the inception of the foundation in 2002. So a charity event, but also a chance to talk some football, and had a chance to have a good conversation with DeMeco Ryans. And you look at some of the topics we got into. I want to kind of hit the high points, and then we're going to have some video of DeMeco discussing these points. But I wanted to give my take on a few things surrounding the team. One of particular interest is, what position will Aireontae Ersery play? He's going to play tackle. They envision him as a tackle. They do not envision him as a guard. I know there's been some fans and some media talking about, well, if Cam Robinson's left tackle and he's a left tackle too, then should they just have him get on the field at a different position? Maybe they will, but that's not how they plan to start him out. They want him to play his best position where he has the highest chance to be successful, and I think that's smart. And talking with Brian Callahan, the offensive line coach of the Golden Gophers, his mentor for the past 5 years, he feels like tackle is where he should be playing, and obviously, defer to the Texans on what they want to do with him because he's their player. But you think about how tall he is. He's about 6'7", 331 pounds, and he plays with somewhat upright, I would say, stance, and just the way he carries himself. He plays high. He plays tall. Doesn't mean he doesn't bend the knees pretty well and play with good ankle flexion, and he's able to block much shorter defenders. Just ask Abdul Carter from Penn State. But I think that this is smart to have him play tackle, not guard, and just cross-train him all over the place. Ultimately, what we're trying to do with coaching is put people in their best position to succeed to help the team as much as they can. So, to me, his long-term home is tackle. If he sits for a long time because Cam Robinson's the left tackle and you've got Blake Fisher at right tackle, I think that's okay. I don't think that's a bad outcome necessarily for him to learn on the job. They'll figure out a way at some point to get him in the mix, get him on the field. But I would just say be patient. He's a rookie. He's a second-round pick. Cal McNair's pretty excited to see him. He said this is a big guy, 6'6", 331, and he can't wait to see Ersery out there on the field. And they'll have the rookie minicamp on the 9th and the 10th. We'll be out there in the media, that is, on the 9th, so we'll see them on Friday, and we'll get a chance to watch them move around a little bit. In, I think, about 3 or 4 guys will do interviews, and along with DeMeco Ryans, so it'll be interesting to hear that. And a couple of injury updates. One I call kind of a non-update update, which is Tank Dell, where DeMeco Ryans was non-committal on when Tank will be back. As we reported, there's a very strong chance that he'll miss the entire season because he tore his ACL, MCL, and LCL. That LCL is the lateral collateral ligament. MCL is the medial collateral ligament. Of course, the ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament, which has been reconstructed by Dr. Walter Lowe, former Texans team doctor, who's a team doctor for the Astros and the Rockets. So he repaired the ACL last. He did the MCL and the LCL first. Turns out that he didn't have meniscus damage, and so that's one of the reasons why there's this outside chance. And I say outside chance, so just take this exactly like I'm saying it. And don't say I'm saying that he's going to play this year. He has made significant progress, I'm told. His activity is very good, and people are enthusiastic about what they're seeing from Tank from a rehab standpoint. And, of course, attitude's great, and that's the big thing that DeMeco was talking about. They don't want to put any pressure on him to rush himself back. Obviously, they don't want to have any setbacks. And if he does anything at all, if he's even under consideration to what if he could do something in December or January, then that's an amazing accomplishment, a great comeback, because the likelihood is 2026. And it's one of the reasons why the Texans drafted wide receivers, specifically Jalen Noel, who can play the slot position. And you have Jaden Higgins playing outside. And you've got a lot of options there at the wide receiver position. So, that's the Tank Dell update. And, they're just never going to rule him out. But, yes, will he begin camp on the physically unable to perform list? Yes. Will he start the season on injured reserve? Yes. These are all things that are going to happen. And then he can be designated for return if they want to. Or they can make a judgment call by September that it doesn't make any sense. They could just say, he's going to be on injured reserve the entire year. They're going to need some of these designated for returns. Inevitably, other players get injured. That's just the reality of football. It's 100% injury rate. So interesting to hear that from DeMeco Ryans, just another positive update. But if you look at the wording, very similar to what he said at the NFL owners meetings in Palm Beach, Florida, and what he said at the NFL scouting combine in Indianapolis. So another update, though, and this one is new, and it's not surprising because we'd heard already that Jimmie Ward was doing well. Jimmie Ward is out of the walking boot. He had foot surgery, and that ended his season. And Jimmie has gotten out of the boot. He's running a little bit. He's not 100%, but he's expected to make it back by training camp. And that's what I'm hearing, not necessarily what DeMeco Ryans said. He just said, hey, he's doing good. He's doing really well. He's a great football player, DeMeco said, and he can help them win games. I agree with all of that. But he's not a starter right now because the starters are Kalen Bullock, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The other position he plays, nickel, that's for Jalen Petrie. And Jalen, of course, is still coming off of the torn pectoral and will probably have almost no activity in terms of individual or team drills in the spring. But he's on track for training camp, which is the, bigger picture thing, to think about with him. And as far as the offensive line, doubling back to that position, they're just going to put these guys out there. I don't think they're going to want to cross-train as much as people think they will. I think there's going to be certain players like a Titus Howard that have the positional flexibility that can play tackle or guard. He could be the left guard. He could be the right tackle. How I think they might line up if they were just going off of last season and factoring in the new additions, I think it would look like this in all likelihood. Cam Robinson at left tackle, Titus Howard left guard, Jared Patterson at center. You would have Juice Scruggs and Ed Ingram competing at right guard, with Scruggs likely going first because he's a returning player that started for them at one point. And then right tackle Blake Fisher. So they're hoping that Blake Fisher will make a jump in year 2. If he doesn't, they have options. They have Trent Brown. They have Aireontae Ersery. They have Titus Howard. They have plenty of options for people to play right tackle. So I don't think that they're in a tough position at all. I think that they're going to improve on the offensive line. But it's going to be obviously a recurring topic and a popular topic because of how last season went, where they've kind of been, to some extent of fairness, the scapegoat for last season, along with Bobby Slowick. So, definitely the main culprits that are blamed for the Texans not going further. Would they have beaten the Chiefs even if the offensive line was good? We'll never know. But last season's last season, and like Bill Belichick used to say, on to the new year, moving on. So that's what you got to do. You got to turn the page. Even the media, we like to look back a lot. I look back plenty of times, but at some point you got to look forward. So we're looking forward. And so I'm going to play some of DeMeco's sound from today and get a chance to hear some of the questions and answers and exchanges with the media. And I'll have a separate video discussing some business stuff involving NRG Stadium and the possibility, the Texans' desire for a new training facility, new team headquarters for business operations and practices, and more space and more access, not being crowded out during concert season or rodeos and things like that. And this is probably years away, by the way. So this isn't like a project they're going to start on and then they'll be there this year at NRG for everything. And what do I think ultimately will happen to the stadium? I want to get into that more in the other video. But yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys about that and some other topics as well. So yeah, please tune in and get this video up for you guys and just listen to the DeMeco sound because that's going to follow this intro. Thanks, guys.
Haven't been on the golf course much, so we'll see how today goes. But excited to be here again this year, supporting the Houston Texans Foundation. It's always a fun event, good to get out of the office and connect with the business leaders and other people around the community who's looking to support the foundation and what they do around Houston.
DeMeco, before you get into maybe some football stuff, can you talk about your thoughts on the Texans and the flag football for girls program that they're building and thoughts about how important it is?
The flag football program for girls, I think it's really a big deal. Seeing that flag football is coming soon with the Olympics. 2028, is that right? Yeah, so we're excited about that. And I think for me, having a daughter who's athletic and enjoys sports, I think is very unique, and it's much needed for our girls to have the opportunity to play flag. And a lot of flag football games with my kids over the past few years, there's always like one girl on a team, and she dominates the boys every single time. So the girls have a place in flag football, and it's a way to connect everyone through sports. Flag football is an awesome sport. It's easy to play, easy to get started. So I'm excited to see the day when flag football is in all schools around Houston for the middle school and high school programs.
DeMeco, roster building is always going on, not just the draft, but post-draft. When you guys added Jake Andrews, what do you feel like he could add to the competition at center and maybe guard too?
Adding Jake is another guy who comes in and adds to the depth of our room. As I mentioned before, with our offensive line and really with every position on our team, the opportunity to come here to Houston is an opportunity to compete. And if you can come in and compete and show that you're worthy of being out there and starting for us, playing meaningful football, and that'll work itself out. That's between the guys and how they show up each and every day, really how they compete throughout training camp to see who are our best guys to have, and we'll put the best guys out there.
DeMeco, do you anticipate Ersery having the opportunity to compete for guard snaps,
Adding Ersery to our team through the draft, really liked his tape in college at tackle. He played left tackle, so we'll start him out at tackle and see how he goes there. But my vision for him was always he can help us at tackle.
Did it ever become a thought during the pre-draft process that you could take, two guys from the same team, and what's the benefit of having now that
getting on the field, actually playing football? We can discuss a lot about where guys are playing, how this guy can help out, who can help. To me, when the ball is snapped, that's when I'll have a true evaluation of who can help us and how can our team improve.
Have you talked to Tank at all this spring? How would you assess his recovery, and do you expect him to play this summer?
I talk to Tank all the time. Tank is doing great. He's in good spirits. He's on the road to recovery. He's doing really well on his rehab process. He's in a really good spot. So excited to see how that continues to progress.
Going into the draft.
We'll take a few more. Do you have any milestones you want him to hit this spring or offseason?
For Tank, I want him to continue to get better, continue to attack each day of the rehab process the right way, like he's been doing with a great attitude. And he'll be back when it's time for Tank to be back. There's nothing to rush. There's no set timeline or we need him back by this certain day. We need Tank back when Tank is ready to be Tank, and that's good enough for me.
How much? Go ahead, Kel.
We talked to you after the draft, and obviously you guys felt good about the classes you brought in. You haven't seen them yet, but coming up to minicamp, what do you want to see? Obviously you're so excited. What's important about this week, and when they come in this weekend, what's important for them to know?
The most important thing for the rookies when they come in, the rookie minicamp, is for them just to get acclimated to how we do things. Really, they have a lot to learn in a very short window of 2 or 3 days of working throughout the weekend. We want to get those guys caught up to speed as quickly as possible so they can integrate with the veterans when they come back the following Monday. So it's really a crash course in everything our vets have covered over the past 2 weeks. It's a crash course of 3 days for the rookies to see how much they can learn so they can hop right in line and get rolling with the vets. But the main thing, and my message would be to those guys, come in, be the guy who was the reason, and show why we selected you, right? You don't have to come in and do anything different, be anyone different. Just show up, put your head down. We got guys who work, guys who love football. You guys hear me mention all the time. That's what they're about. They're the right people. Now it's just about putting the work in and getting better every day.
You talked about the 2 wide receivers that you got. How important was it going into the draft to get that room filled, that position filled, especially for CJ and for Nick Caley, who's coming in as the offense coordinator?
And the receiver position was important to get guys in there who can help us for our entire team. Right, not only for CJ. I think we saw down the stretch when we kind of lost our depth at receiver. We saw the strains that it put on our offense. So just having multiple guys who can go out, catch the football, be explosive in what they're doing at the receiver spot, it only help us, right? So I'm excited to see the depth, excited to see the guys compete, excited to see who comes out on top in that room.
A lot of good discussion about.
A couple more. Y'all made a lot of moves at safety. How is Jimmie Ward? Talk to him, and how do you see him fitting in with all the bodies that you added in that position?
Jimmy's doing fine. Jimmy's on the road to recovery as well. He's doing fine. He's out of his boot now. He's starting to get back into running a little bit, so he's in a good spot. And Jimmie is a great football player. I love Jimmie. I love how he plays the game. And again, same whenever Jimmie is ready. I know Jimmie can help our football team win games. We saw him make game-changing plays for us, big-time plays and big moments. And whenever he's out there, he'll do it. He's a football player. So what I love about him, he's played in multiple spots in the defense. So I'm excited to see just whenever he's ready, it doesn't hurt to have a lot of good safeties on the team.
DeMeco, a lot of good discussion from Mike and the McNairs about the stadium and also the training facility. Ideally, as the coach, what do you hope for when you're looking at a training facility and also the stadium?
Give me some grass, put the ball down. We'll practice wherever they want us to practice. I leave that up to the McNairs and how they'll handle that situation. But hey, we just want to play football. It doesn't matter to us. I know they'll do a great job of leading the organization. They've done that for years, and they'll continue to lead us and evolve and take us to where we need to go the next steps.
Going into training camp, you have a lot of offensive linemen that can play at different positions. What will be the focal point on finding the right fit for them?
It'll be trial and error. I think you just put guys into the spots where they played before, and if we need to move guys, we'll move them accordingly. But we're not going in, it's like we got a bunch of guys that can do a lot of different things. Like, to me, it's what do you do well? And if you can do a few things really well, that helps out as opposed to being able to do a lot of different things average. So who can be the best at whatever spot that is, you show up and you're the best at that spot, that helps our team be successful.
All right, thank you.
All right.